What is going on, people? I've had a couple of requests to do the deer hair cicada fly that I posted a pretty long while ago, but it's come back up in some Facebook posts because of that 17-year hatch. So I'm still sort of playing around with it, mostly the wings, but I figured now would be a good time to do this tutorial. So anyway, the body is exactly the same as Flyfish Food Curtis Fry's pattern, the Project Cicada. So if you already know how to tie that, we'll just go fast forward this video until you see me start tying the fly, because that's where it gets a little bit different. But for now, I'm just going to show you how to create this body, which is the exact same as the Project Cicada. So you're going to need a large Beavertail River Road Creation punch cutout thingy, some 6mm foam, Crosslink. I do this in basically this doo-doo brown baby poop and black, because that just kind of matches the hatch, if you will. Cut this body about halfway from it down, because you don't really need the top. So just stick it in there, cut out the body. Sorry for the wobble, I just use a cell phone. I'm not super pro like all you other guys and stuff. So yeah, that's what you got. Pop it out. It does kind of look like crap, so what we're gonna do is take these square edges and round them off just a little bit, just like this. And we don't want it to come square off, we kind of want it to go to a point down here, just like a cicada. Now heat it up just a little bit with a lighter, and you can kind of rub all the edges flush so it looks a little bit more real. Okay, now you're going to need some 10-aught Veevus orange thread. Pull a pretty decent length off of the bobbin. Put your thumb on it just on top. And now we could wrap and begin to make our segmentations. Always, always go over the top. Just like that. Now we could work our way back. Let your thread just kind of dangle there. Take your whip finish tool. Easier said than done. There we go. Alright. Cut your thread. Cut your thread. And there you go. You can see it's got just kind of, this is going to be at the top of the part, because the fish are going to see the bottom. But when that's all done, take some super glue, cover the thread, and let it dry for, I don't know, just do a ton of them, let them dry for a couple hours. And then we're going to go and reorient some stuff and tie the actual fly. Okay, now that we have created our bodies, we can get to tying the actual cicada fly. So get the body that you have just created and a double-edged razor blade. First thing you're going to do, make sure you're on the bottom, the side that faces the fish, and cut a slit straight down the middle, because that's how you're going to fit it on the hook. Speaking of hooks, that's actually very important. This is a very heavy gauge small hook. It's a saltwater hook from Daiichi, 3111, size 1/0. You really want a heavier gauge hook so it'll help orient keel the fly on top of the water. If you use a light gauge hook, you might end up with a fly that sits like this or like this, which could be cool if you want a weedless fly, but again, I mean, you want a larger hook because cicadas are really big beefy bugs. Anyway, I use 3 different threads here. This is just your basic 140 denier, doesn't even matter what color it is, thread. Just to dress the hook so it'll give something for the cicada body to adhere to. So about halfway down the shank, right before the bend, you just go ahead and lay some thread down. what this is going to do is provide something for us to super glue. Just a little bit of super glue. Alright, now the Cicada body that we just had and we cut the slit on, go ahead and slide that right over. Just like this. Oops. And just kind of let it hold there for just a couple seconds so the glue will adhere to the foam. Okay. Make sure you have a little gap up here for your head. Another reason I like this heavier thread right here is so I could go ahead and really secure this down to the hook shank without it breaking on the little 10-aught head thread. Just some cross wraps, just like this. Okay. Now, it'd probably be wise to go ahead and let that dry, but I'm just gonna keep going. This is back to the orange thread, just because this is going to be visible. Just tie off the black thread, and here we go. Now just remember to keep working that segmentation. And that's what you kind of end up with. At the top and at the bottom, that's what the fish will see. So, you know, it's on there pretty securely. So this is sort of important. Now we're going to start tying in our materials. At the last segmentation right here, towards the middle of the hook, that's where your thread needs to end up. Now we're going to get some orange Parapost. This is simply for us visibility. So when you're blasting a pretty long cast out there, it's kind of hard to see a big black bug on top of the water if you're far away. So I simply just take, I don't know what's that, about an inch, and kind of just plop some right on the top, just like this. This also helps aid in flotation. I also like to do a cross wrap there, come back down, cross wrap across and back. That just kind of, that's just for me, I guess, but it, you know, it's kind of a 50, or not really, what is that, 25, 75, that's what I meant. 75 out of back, and then it's just, it's kind of a taper for me, you see. But anyway, that provides a ton of visibility when it's far away, simply just for us. Next, you're gonna need a Mallard flank. This is the part I'm still playing around with, but for now, this is what I got. You want a fairly large Mallard flank. I got these from my buddy Dave Heiss at Caster's Fly Shop. These are, what is this? What brand is this? Oh, these are Nature Spirit brand. That's actually really nice quality. Sometimes you get Mallard flank and it's just like, man, that's some really cheap garbage right there. But the Nature Spirit stuff's actually really nice. So anyway, take the fluff off the bottom, separate your actual wing. Down here you want the longest part of the feather, and then you're going to cut the tip off. Just the tip. Ha. Okay, now you have your wings. Go ahead and fold them backwards again. There you go. Now you're going to place this mallard right on top of that orange blob, and what that's going to do is help keep them separated, because if you notice, cicadas on the water don't really have wings that go straight back like this. That's kind of why I like the mallard, because once it gets wet, it kind of floats out just a little bit to the side. I'm still playing with the articulated wing thing. That's a lot harder than it looks. But anyway, go ahead and wrap to secure this feather to the top of the blob of foam. And don't forget some cross wraps, extra security. Okay. There, that's in there pretty good. I have been playing with putting some resin on the feather to give it a little bit more stability. But again, that kind of defeats the purpose, because when it gets wet, the feathers will flare out to the side just like an actual cicada wing. So that's kind of what you're working with. The view from the bottom, what the fish will see, which is actually pretty hard for you to see. It looks pretty good. So it's actually a very simple fly to tie. But anyway, that's where we're at now. It would be a good idea to drop some super glue on there, but I'm just not going to do that. Next, we're going to be messing with some deer hair for the head. So get some 200 denier gel spun thread from Veevus and start your thread. Cancel out the orange thread. If you use a razor blade, it's a lot easier to cut the gel spun. Now you're going to want some deer hair. This is black deer hair from the belly. You do not want to use body hair. It doesn't flare enough. This is basically right here is the exact same process that we use when we do deer hair divers, like a Dahlberg diver. I might have one sitting over here somewhere. Yeah, right here. See, we're going to be stacking the hair just like this, except on a much smaller scale. So don't use a ton of hair, but I'd say that's about, what's that, two pencil thicknesses or so of hair. Put it right on top of the hook, right in the middle of the clump. Take 2 loose wraps and let your thread just hang there. Pull it down just a little bit so it flares. You see that flare? Let go with your other hand, and now use the thread to kind of walk it around to the other side of the hook. Keep your thumb on top to make a nice base, and pull it down. And that's what you're left up with. This is the same process of how you do a stacked body, just like a Dahlberg diver. But keep in mind you want the most hair on the bottom, because that's going to help aid in flotation of the head. Right between stacks, always put some super glue in case you happen to nick it when you're trimming this thing up or something. You know, it's not going to come unraveled on you. Next, get another big clump of hair, about 2 pencil thicknesses thick. Kind of fluff it all out, get all the under fur stuff out. Just don't really care. Now this time, I like to follow the natural curve of the hair just because it looks good. It has literally no other purpose. Right on top in the middle of the clump, 1 wrap, 2 wrap, cinch it down and let go. This time, I want you to pinch right between the 2 stacks and cinch it down. That'll flare right on top just like you want it, just so the head will be nice and round. You see how the hair just kind of curves backwards for the natural look. Again, that's just completely just my aesthetic opinion. It has no actual purpose other than that. So you do whatever you want to. Now go ahead and work your thread through until you catch the eye of the hook. You know, if you're doing an actual Dahlberg diver or Whitlock mouse or something like that, you would just use a lot more hair and put more stacks on top of these. But if you want to learn how to do that, sorry, I'm not going to teach you that. What you need to do is go check out Pat Cohen, www.rusuperfly.com. He sells DVDs on how to do this. The dude is a fucking master of deer hair. He taught me basically everything I know through that DVD, and the guy's a fucking genius, so check it out. What am I doing? Now go grab your whip finish tool and whip it off. Doesn't matter if it's kind of messy. Alright. Now we get to trim this beast. So get a little baby comb and kind of brush it all out. Just like this. Okay. Grab your double-edged razor blade again. Flip your fly upside down. This is pretty important to get it to float and sit on the water properly. You want it perfectly straight on the bottom, so take your time. Okay. And eventually it's going to be flush with a piece of foam that you tied in. Kind of hard to see that, but it's flush with a piece of foam. Anyhow, now you have this kind of fat head looking thing. I simply bend my razor blade just a little bit to the curve that I want. Start at the eye of the hook and work my way around. Now these things are kind of wide and tall bugs. It's a very interesting bug. So just kind of, it's almost like a chubby wedge head that you're kind of creating here. Again, this is just the top of the fly, so it really just doesn't matter. It's just for aesthetics. The bottom's really where the stuff comes in. So anyway, you got your main shape of the head now. Now you want to come back in with some scissors and just kind of clean up this area here. I like to leave a little bit of this fluff here because it kind of acts as like legs, if you will. But that's entirely up to you. I've actually tried to put rubber legs and stuff on this, you know, dangling off the bottom like an actual cicada, but that's really difficult with the short amount of space that we have left here. Again, you could spend probably an hour trimming this thing to whatever you want to, but for purposes of a video, we're just gonna call that looks pretty good. So now you got your basic shape done. You're done with the fly. I still don't like the shape. I'm just like really picky about this crap for some reason. It literally does not even matter, but here I am. And I'm talking to myself, so what the hell? Got issues, man. Alright, we're gonna call that good, whatever. The next part is, again, it's not really crucial that you do this, it's just for me. I take a cautery tool and kind of just burn in some eye sockets. Ooh, that smells so good. Alright. Just like that. And basically I take some UV resin and I fill that in. Just like this. Fill in the hole. Okay. Take your light and cure it. Fill in the hole. Take your light and cure it. Alright, now this stuff takes color pretty well. I just like to add some color to it, so we're just going to use a red, and it just shows up really nice and kind of a subliminal red. Again, this is simply just for looks. Fish won't even see it, but you know, why not? Add another blob on top, that'll really make the color pop. Zap it. Another blob on this one. Make it pop. Bam. See it glowing? That's pretty sweet, isn't it? Alright, now it's important to go ahead and put some resin right there here on the bottom and on the thread wraps to help secure this entire thing together. Just use your finger and kind of push it around. This is really going to help keep a stable base so it's nice and flat in the water and provide more durability and securement to the hook. Okay, so that's essentially it. Alright, there you go. Little deer hair cicada. Tie some up and fish it. Good luck, dudes.